Gen Z, my generation, quite possibly the most materialistic, greedy, selfish, unmotivated. What's the other word? Unfocused generation that there is. You attempt to look forward into the future, and up until this point, it has been, if you look into the future, things are looking bright. If you look into the future, things are just better. Better inventions. People are more innovative. People have more resources to get the job done than they did in the previous generation. This generation, the Gen Z, is a prime specimen of what a generation with too much resources, the dangerous implications of a generation with access to too many resources. And the parents, which would be the millennials that raised the Gen Z, how lousy of a job they did at keeping the Gen Z humble, keeping the Gen Z appreciative of life. I walk around, see, when I was in second grade, up until let me backtrack. When I was a kindergartner, all the way up until I'd say like seventh grade, I never thought that the idea of killing yourself would ever be an option that anyone would ever even think about putting on the table. And for every generation before then, that was the case. It was never an option to commit suicide. If you had even the biggest of inconveniences. And so, towards seventh grade, as I was saying, I started to hear students, the kids around me, say things like, oh, I don't want to get old, so I'm just going to kill myself before I turn 30. Or, I hate this homework that we have to do, I'm going to kill myself. Or, I want to end it all. I want to die. People are starting to say these things as a joke. You know, it's very unhealthy, and the point is, this generation has garnered a newfound hatred for existence when we have the most resources possible, when we virtually should not have any reason to hate existing. So, you fast forward to 2026, the men and the women have never been so further apart from each other. Um, and as a side note, on a side note, as of a couple weeks ago, there has been a report I don't know how true it is, but I would believe it, um, that this generation is officially uh, the first generation to be dumber than the last. And that makes me think to myself, okay, you know what? Maybe it really is them. For all my life, I've struggled to figure out why I'm so weird to other people. For all of my life, I've struggled to figure out why I think the way I do. For all of my life, I thought I was the problem. I wondered, why am I such a nice guy? Why am I so friendly? Why do I love life? Why do I want the betterment of the people around me and no one else wants it for me or anyone else, including them? And now, with this report, it gives me a new sense of comfort knowing that they're just all stupid. My generation is simply all retarded. A lot of people aren't going to like this, but I don't care. It's the truth. And for once in my life, I'm beginning to understand why I am the way I am and why I should embrace who I am. Because this generation is going to die out so quickly because of a numerous amount of reasons, not just committing suicide, but also the hatred. My generation, I would like to think, is by far the most within young people. My generation is probably by far the most violent, the most unmoral, the most unhinged out of all younger generations in the past. That's something that I like to believe, and that's something that I really, really think is true. So, first of all, we're the dumbest generation, then the dumber generation than the last. Second of all, we're more violent. And third of all, we're the most suicidal. Fourth, things are expensive. Fifth, the men and the women simply cannot get along. And that's for a whole nother cesspool of reasons. But these are the 5 main issues wrong with society. And it all is just leading to doom. The good people get squeezed out like zits, like pimples. The good people of society are quitting. Let me tell you, it's hard to be a good person. People do not like good people now. I don't know what it is. I think the world is just tired of good people. I think, to be honest with you, I think that's really what it is. The world longs for progression. The world longs for something new. And the age of niceness, the age of compassion, the age of getting together is just gone out of style. I really believe these things to be true, and I'm afraid for the future.